Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is the last and the final part 3 of the interview with Tom Burlinson, who played Jim Craig on The Man from Snowy River. The first two are if they didn't get blocked and got screwed up somehow or another, they're right before this one. So I hope you, if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I don't know how much you should put in store with go watch part 1 first or part 2 first. I don't think that's really an issue. You could probably watch this part, then part 1, and then part 2, and it probably all still makes sense to you. All right, so when we got finished with part 2, we were listening to the podcast host saying that he was at Kirk. What's his name? Kirk Douglas. Just turned blank. Kirk Douglas's press conference, and everybody was antagonizing him because he was an American doing this Australian film, and I guess I backed it up to him talking about that. So this is where right before we left off on part 2. All right, let's go in the intro and right into the video.
I was at Kirk Douglas's press conference when he came out to shoot the film.
Were you?
There was a lot of antagonism about a Yank in the role.
Yes.
He was asked about that. He stood up, he took a step back, and he said, "Who can recite The Man from Snowy River?" And of course we all looked at each other and said, well, we know the first lines. And so he launched into a recitation of the poem, and it was magnificent, and he shut everybody up.
Yes, it was Kirk's way of taking on that antagonism, and of course he did it with great energy. And look, he was a clever man, and I think he won over the room that day.
Is there a section of Patterson's poem that you particularly like?
They really tried to be as close to the poem as they could. So when it comes to, "But the man from Snowy River let the pony have its head. He swung his stock whip round and gave a cheer, and he raced him down the mountain like a torrent down its bed, while the others stood and watched in very fear. He sent the flintstones flying, but the pony kept its feet. He cleared the fallen timber in his stride, and the man from Snowy River never shifted in his seat. It was grand to see that mountain horseman ride." Well, I think they stayed very close to all of that.
I'm sure that you and Kirk got a few minutes to just sit and talk. What was he like?
Look, Kirk was a highly energized, very dynamic personality. And let's not forget that he was a bona fide Hollywood movie star who'd starred in many films and also produced his own films, Spartacus, Paths of Glory. So he was very experienced. And I think Kirk felt a little bit like he was in Mickey Mouse land, a little bit.
I remember that animal.
I'll get her back.
Oh, sure you will. You just walk in and pluck her out of 1,000 square miles of wilderness.
I will, Spur.
Sure.
I'll run down that mob and fetch her back.
Sure, and on foot, too.
He was quite a dominating personality. I think I can say that. And there was a great sort of disparity in terms of status between him and me. I was in my first movie. I was a young actor. He was very experienced. So there was, and also he was a great script editor. He said, "I said that in the other scene. I don't need to say that again." And he'd cut his own line. He was demanding of the people around him, and he was demanding of himself. I don't think we could say that, we became close friends, but we developed a good working relationship while he played both roles.
What was his attitude towards you? Were you reminded that he was the movie star and you were the young novice?
Yes. Yes, definitely. he definitely would make our relative status, quite clear and obvious, which, was fair enough. Tom, if you don't say anything in this scene, it's going to be good. Now, as it turned out, he was right. It was the scene where Jim comes to the homestead, and there was some lines scripted for Jim to say, and Kirk actually, it's better if the man stands there and lets Harrison and Clancy talk about him.
Praise be the lack of capital is all that I can say.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I propose a toast?
Yes.
To one who sees what is, and one who sees what can be, Lord grant that the two are compatible. Hello, Jim. Hello, Jim.
Good evening, Jim.
Well, we all seem to be introduced.
Not all of us, Harrison. I'm Mrs. Hume.
How do you do, ma'am?
Jim, Mr. Harrison was just talking of taming the Snowy River country. You know it better than any of us. What do you think?
I think you might sooner hold back the tide than tame the mountains.
And he was right. But, the way he said it was like, oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Douglas. I mean, had me calling him Mr. Douglas for the first 2 or 3 days before I said, do you mind if I call you Kirk? He said, oh, please. So, yes, he made it quite clear who had the power. And the most extraordinary thing is that to more than 40 years later, this is, and me having worked in show business for all that time, yes, of course, I had to sort of go in a different direction in order to keep working with music, but through all of the work that I've done in the 40 odd years since, The Man from Snowy River is still the single piece of work for which I'm best known. And to reunite with Sigrid for these events, has been great. Just, talking about what we would like to share with the audience, and bringing back memories as each of us, sort of remembered things. It was, and we always got on very well, Sigrid and I. So, and it's just been great to sort of revisit it in this new way.
Jim Craig himself is a pretty formidable character. Have you ever found yourself in competition with him?
No, because I'm very aware and was made to be very aware that it's all about projected image, Ian, right? That image of me became the image of the man. But I've always been aware that it is a projected image. It's not real. Of course, it changed my life. The movie led to international exposure because it was not only a big hit in Australia, but also particularly in the Midwest of America through distribution by 20th Century Fox there. I was taken there to help sell the movie in press junkets in Los Angeles and Chicago and New York. So the whole thing was an amazing adventure.
What an ending. Yeah, he said something there. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say Skull and Crossbones is the one who requested this one. I think I said it in the first two, but I don't remember saying it at the beginning of this one. So I just want you all to know that this reaction was brought to you by Skull and Crossbones. I remember the I don't know, trailer, I guess, them talking about Man from Snowy River. I would have been in Southern California at, during this time, 1982, I think is what it was. And, but I think at the time, think HBO was out, but I think that was it. And you had to have this little antenna, you know, it was an indoor antenna just to get that one channel. And I couldn't afford it. You know, I was just a young Marine at the time. And so I never watched it. My wife and I at the time, never went to see it. And then life got in the way, had kids, and you know, you go to kids movies after that. You know, if you're gonna do anything, it's really rarely any time for the adults. So Kirk Douglas, his real name is Isur Danielovich. Isur Danielovich. He lived to be 103 years old, and he passed away in 2020. Bless his heart. Man, yeah, he's an icon here in the States of the older movies. He was just a tough guy, you know. I mean, he was a real man's man, and I'm sure that's kind of the way he probably came off in that movie as well. Okay, y'all, I hope you enjoyed it. That was part 3. It was 3 of 3. That's it for this interview, and that's going to do it for me, and I'm going to get us out of here. So till I see y'all again, I'll catch you down the road. Bye, y'all.